Hey everyone, welcome to Brick System Brothers. Today we are back on the Joblot topic after more of a break than usual, but still before the end of 2021 here. We are past the 1 year mark since I bought the Joblot, so it has been taking a little while. You know, if I was just working on getting this cataloged, inventoried, getting these videos out, would have moved a lot faster, but as you know, if you've been watching the rest of the channel, I'm kind of doing a mix and match approach to my project at the moment. So cafe corner, Carter trellis, just built some passenger cars for a train. So I'm not really just focused on the Joblot, it's more of an in-between filler project, and that's what the videos have become, kind of the ongoing series. So we are moving forward though, and today I just wanted to work our way through some of the interesting things in this category. So Technic and tires, there is a very small, very minimal overlap in those two Venn diagrams. You know, if you have a circle of Technic and a circle of tires, this is maybe one of the pieces that would fall in the middle. So this is interesting, little black and silver speckle kind of medieval wheel style, and I think that's the theme it is from like a fantasy theme. So you do have the Technic connection, that pin in the center. I think these are the 3.18 bar size holes around the edge, and then you do have 2x2 area of studs. The most interesting thing about this particular piece is the coloring. It's actually molded in black plastic, and then it has a speckle finish, so it's called black speckle silver or something. It's one of those effects. It's not so much a color, it's more of an effect. I think I talked about it on one of the eBay hauls. I started expanding the color chart to include effects, and that's one of them. The other one is dark gray speckled silver, and then technically the metallic and the chrome are also effects. Some other large tires here, and I don't think I'm going to be getting out all the pieces, just some of the highlights that I wanted to cover in this category, and then maybe the overall count of pieces. But there's a lot of rubber and tires and stuff in here. Some treads. The other thing that ended up in this category was hoses, and let me grab a couple other styles. We'll talk about hoses for a second here. Where's the other one? There, that's the one I'm looking for. So let's look at this kind of piece type for a moment or two. The hoses here come in various sizes. They serve various purposes, and this is the category they ended up in. So maybe just work my way through some of these. This would be considered a flex rod, I believe. So there's a little bit of play in it, but it's more stiff than some of the other flexible pieces. And this one is really handy for shaping and kind of detail. It's actually designed to be cut to length. So one of those pieces that you're actually supposed to modify. And I don't think, you know, Lego actually sends you different sizes of these for the sets that they're used in, but at the same time it's nice to have these on hand for some of those mocks where you need a very specific bar length, and then you're going to be flexing it into kind of a curvature of some sort, and you do have to make that modification. It's got this hollow core, so it does cut easily, and they're pretty prolific. I don't think they're terribly expensive. I've ended up with a lot of this over the years just buying bulk, so they do make their way into different collections. I have not used flex rods extensively in my projects, but it's something I do have on hand if I want to get into that. A lot of people that build detailed diesel locomotives will use these for the handrails because you can cut and shape them, and the black is a good color for handrails. So that's where I've seen it used a lot. Yeah, one of those few pieces that you're actually supposed to modify. Similar to that would be the flex tube, where it has a slightly larger diameter and opening for it actually can be used as a sleeve over a standard axle. So this can kind of hide a color. If you don't want a certain color to be visible, you can put the sleeve over it. You can attach axles to either end and use this to kind of fill in some gaps and some curvature. And maybe for engine detail in a space station or spacecraft, venting and tubing and fuel lines and that sort of thing. So a couple different colors here. And this is just the stuff on top. I've actually got quite a bit of the flex tube, flex hose. I don't know what it specifically is called. Look at this one next. This is the flexible axle. So the cross section here actually matches your standard Technic axle, but you cannot slide things on in the same way that you can with your typical axle. So a lot of pieces have what's called a cross axle hole, and this is all in the system to work with the standard Technic axle. In this case, this is matching it for the style but not for the function. So much in the same way that this can be used to fill curves and create shaping contours, I think that's what this was intended to be used for, in various different colors and lengths. So curves, contours, and this is still used today to a degree, but I think it had its heyday in mid-2000s Technic sets. A lot of motorcycles and cars kind of use this to get the contours right, and you don't have to rely on Technic panels. It gives you more of a skeleton style, I don't know what I want to call it, like a blueprint, line drawing style, I guess would be what I call it. And that was kind of the standard of styles for Technic in the mid-2000s. Today, Technic is actually much more filled out with panels and blocks, and you get much closer to, like, the Land Rover Defender, for example, uses a lot of panels and blocks for filling in all the way around. You don't have to use these flexible pieces to create the contours because it's actually a completely filled in model. So these still have their uses, but they are not, I think, used as extensively as they were. Kind of being phased out maybe. And again, it's not functional in the same way that, you know, if you could slide a piece like a gear on to a flex axle, then that would unlock a lot of building potential, but the ends are kind of blocked off to prevent people from using it in that way. So another constraint on the system. Here's a nice red flex rod. Everything else here is kind of a hose. These are solid core, so these are not hollow, but again, used for shaping, used for piping, tubing. Pretty much just another level of detail and realism you can put onto mocks and projects as an option here. You don't have to try to build a fuel line out of plates or 1x1 round bricks. You actually have these pieces to build that kind of style, that kind of subject matter. So these are fun for spacecraft. You know, a lot of the stuff I've already covered with these other pieces. I don't know, I like to use them. I've used, within the last couple of years, I used 2 of these for the Clatz VC, just to get the curvature around. It's amazing what just 2 of these will do for a model in terms of just giving it more of an organic shaping that regular bricks and Technic beams don't really give it. So I enjoy it. I enjoy the option to have those. Okay, let's get back down to the basics here. Technic bricks galore, and beams of course, but definitely heavier on the bricks. So within the last couple years, I have started to appreciate the possibilities for what these can do structurally and in terms of rigidity, what these can bring to a model. Specifically with the Meritobic spacecraft, I actually have an underlying Technic frame that is giving it just amazing structural support and stability that you don't really get if you're just relying on bricks and plate connection. So the option to go through the holes and have the pin connections and the axle connections can really lock good night. Watch out for flying pieces here. It can really lock stuff together. It gives you a continuous pivot to kind of put things at a non-standard angle, and the different locking options for pins and stuff, there's quite a variety. So within a couple of pieces you can get a pretty solid assembly going, and start looking at forming triangles and parallelograms and locking different things in with the bracing there. And that's what they do at the top level for the Ultimate Collector Series models, and like the bigger sets that you pick up with a handle, the Star Wars stuff that you fly around like that, that's all Technic frame on the inside when it comes to the kind of strength that you need to hold that model together. And just for the sake of time, I guess today, there are a bunch of tires, and some of these sizes I don't have a lot of, so getting a few things new here. These large tires, there is a standard for, in terms of size. These all have numbers on the band, so you can actually use the labels and the numbers on these tires to fit into the system. I think it's millimeters, but I never took the time to read into that and really see how they're using that system, that labeling. But it's pretty standard across the different sizes. You should be able to tell with that. I have these two regular treads, and I think I have one of the long ones. Yeah, here's one of the longer ones. So the same style tread, just a bigger one. So the old Arctic theme uses some of those. Those are fun. These are like a train rail piece. So this kind of scratches the surface of what I've got in this category. You guys probably are pretty familiar with the different tire sizes that LEGO offers, and the different, types of Technic pieces that are out there. And that's what it is, a good couple thousand different tires and Technic pieces. So some things of interest for sure, that aren't your standard run-of-the-mill pieces. These are kind of the gems that pop out, but the bulk of it is just standard tires and Technic, and I'm not complaining. It's good to stock up on this stuff. I find that as a builder of more structural, like the train cars, the modular buildings, these two types of elements tend to get backed up and kind of backlogged more than other types of elements in my collection, especially as I've been buying bulk lots over the years. There's always a pretty good mix of tires and Technic, and I'm glad to have it, like I said, but I haven't been building with it much. So it has kind of piled up, and maybe it's time to start working on models that use these more. So good stuff in this category. Not as much detail today, but some of the highlights and conversation to be had. Wanted to get it out there before I go through and sort this out and move on to the plates from the Joblot. So that's coming up today. Technic and tires, a couple thousand of them. If I get the count done before this goes out, I'll put it in the description. But that's all I got today. So we'll see you next time on Brick System Brothers.